Hi, this is Tom Hayes with Codentity, and I'm going to demonstrate how to use the Codentity EFX Player with the True Blend Media Player system. The Codentity EFX Player is a digital audio reproduction tool created in software, and it's compatible with Microsoft Windows 8, Windows 7, or Windows XP, your choice. You can get a free trial download of the software at area89.com. Just head over to Area 89, then on the home page, click the Try Free button and follow instructions. Now, when you download and install the product on your computer, you'll notice the master title is Music Megabase Catalog Media Edition. And that's because the Codentity EFX Player is distributed as part of a bundle, a product suite. And that suite includes these titles: the Music Megabase Catalog, which is our hit music database; the True Blend Media Player System, our digital audio automation tool; and of course the Codentity EFX Player. Now, if you've seen any of our web-hosted videos, either on area89.com or on YouTube, you probably already know that the True Blend Media Player System is a very intuitive, very powerful digital audio mixing product. True Blend is automated and capable of performing manual interaction for the DJ or audio events operator. But what makes True Blend so much better than other auto mix software products is True Blend's capability to perform gapless, natural, smooth, overlapping transitions every time. With True Blend, the track duration is calculated automatically and without user intervention, and the audio level is set and optimized. So when the transition occurs, there are no gaps, no content portion deletions, and no audio problems. In other products, you'll notice what's called a dip and clip problem. And by that, I mean a premature fade out followed by an unwanted fade in. And that's not cool. Imagine you're a DJ and you're at a party, you're mixing music, and you need to step away from the console for a minute or two, maybe to talk to an audience member or conduct a quick pit stop. Well, you don't want a gap in between your songs, and you certainly don't want a premature fade out followed by an unwanted fade in, because that is a very, very bad transition. Well, True Blend does not have those effects. True Blend is completely natural compared to other Automix products, and True Blend has a better search system and a more advanced playlist manager. So check out True Blend anytime at area89.com or watch our YouTube videos. Now, before I start the demonstration, let me point out the applications that I think are very suitable for both the Codentity EFX Player and the True Blend Media Player System. And that, of course, would be mobile DJ parties, sporting events, corporate presentations, fashion shows, political rallies, house of worship venues, radio station remote broadcasts, and even theatrical performances where the sound operator is called on to roll in a pre-recorded dialogue cue or maybe a music vamp or a sound effect on demand. Anytime you need live audio on demand, check out the Codentity EFX Player and the True Blend Media Player System. Here are some of the areas I plan to cover in part 1 of this video: integration capabilities, the user interface, displays and controls, workflow operations, and the included help system. Since I want this demonstration to be natural and fluid, I'm not going to use a formal script, only a few note cards. Well, that's an outline of what I think I can fit in the first part of this video. For certain feature descriptions that I may not be able to fit into part 1, I'll plan to discuss those capabilities in part 2. Now, throughout the video, when I use the term track, I'm referring to a digital audio recording that is located on the computer's designated media storage drive. And in the effects player, typical tracks are sound effects, hit music songs, radio station jingles, dialogue excerpts, etc. Now, it's important to know that in order to play a track, either in the effects player or the True Blend Media Player System, there must first be a hyperlink inserted in the catalog, the music database. A hyperlink that connects the path location of a sound file with its corresponding title in the Music Megabase catalog. To make things easy, The catalog interface includes a hyperlink insertion tool that will help you set up the database connections in a one-time process. And no, you won't have to learn how to use a database. Codentity software features an intuitive point-and-click interface, as you will soon see. So, let's get started. You are looking at the Music Megabase Catalog Action Center homepage. It's the default opening screen for the product suite. Along the left-hand side, you see various catalog task command buttons. To their right, task description and task workflow summaries. For example, right now, the AEMR, Add and Edit Master Records Form button is highlighted, and underneath the task workflow, you can read Conduct Catalog Search and Edit Operations. If I mouse over the UDS Manager, the corresponding workflow summary changes, and you're now informed that this is where you make universal data changes, view reports, and choose Task Help. If I mouse over Player Assets, you'll search, load, and play music tracks with the integrated media players, and in this case, that's referring to the automated TrueBlend media player system. Yes, TrueBlend is automated. The sequential playback goes from deck 1 to deck 2 in an automated manner. The duration is automatically timed. The levels are set automatically. However, TrueBlend does allow for manual activation at any time by the DJ or the audio events operator. Whereas the Codentity EFX Player is a manually activated product. It does have some logic that controls power fades, the elapsed duration displays, and automatically sets the optimized level for playback in the EFX Player. Well, there are two modes for the Codentity EFX Player. One is integration mode, and you would use that from the player console of the TrueBlend media player system. I'll show you that in a few minutes. The other is standalone mode, and you would use that because it consumes far less PC resources as compared to operating the EFX Player concurrently with the automation of TrueBlend. So if you're an audio operator at a political rally, maybe a corporate presentation, a theatrical presentation, you may just want to use the Codentity EFX Player to roll in music vamps, sound effects, pre-recorded dialogue drops. Well, then you wouldn't need the automation of TrueBlend, so you could just open the EFX Player in standalone mode. And you do that by clicking UDS Manager, then you click the EFX Player tab, then you click EFX Player. The product is open, loaded, ready to go. I'll prove it. I'll click Play Effects.
1, 2, 3, 4. Come on, baby, say you love me.
And I'm using the mouse to manually reduce the audio playback of Deck Effects A to 0, so I can talk to you without the music overriding me, and also so that I maintain compliance with the fair use guidelines with respect to copyrighted music works. Well, you can see the EFX Player is open by default in a standard aspect ratio 4:3, and that's to maintain backwards compatibility for users with older PCs that may still have resolutions of 1024 by 768. However, most people probably now are using newer computers equipped with widescreen displays, as am I. In fact, the machine I'm recording this demo on is a 2010 purchase, a Toshiba laptop. It's a Generation 1 i7. It's configured with 6 GB of system RAM and 1 GB of dedicated video memory. Let's go ahead and click the Expand EFX Player window button now. And there you see more screen objects on the right. There's a clock. There are some command and control buttons with respect to navigation, audio levels. And beneath that, you see a meter. It's now at 1:14, a minute 15, 16, 17. That's the elapsed duration of last player started. LPS. Last player started in TrueBlend is very important because the logic keeps track of which player of the 3 available players, the 3 decks, was the last player started, and it needs to know that if you choose as the operator to execute or invoke a power fade. Well, you wouldn't want to fade the most recent player started, so it knows not to fade deck A if we were to do that right now, and then in fact the logic would fade the previous player started. I'm not going to show you that yet, but I will upcoming here. Let's scroll down a little bit. Remember though that LPS stands for last player started. I want to show you some more screen objects here. There's the Assign Track to IP buttons. There are 9, IP1 through IP9. They correspond directly with 9 IP instant play bars. Now, the instant play bars are bars that start playback of audio tracks which have been assigned to them. So you would conduct a search and filter operation or a browse operation, select a track here in the search boxes up above. Then if you want to assign it to a play bar, you click one of the IP buttons, IP 1 through 9. I'll do it for you real quickly so you can see what I mean. Let's go ahead and I'll highlight the artist box, and I'll begin typing Beach Boys and hit enter. I'll go ahead and use that all summer long. Now remember, if I click the play effects button, it starts that track instantly, but it always starts it in deck A. I'll demonstrate. Reducing the audio to 0. Now let's go ahead and load that on one of the IP instant play bars. To do that, I want to align the screen view to the assigned track to IP buttons and play bars. I click IP selector here. Notice please that in the staging banner, we see that it still says All Summer Long by the Beach Boys. So I know that if I click IP1, it will load that on IP bar 1. Let's do it. And there it is. It says All Summer Long. Beach Boys even has the duration, which is 1 minute and 55 seconds. Now, in my copy of the Music Megabase catalog, the database, I took the time to and personally assign the exact duration of the track, 1 minute and 55, in the catalog in the database, and it retains it. You don't have to do that unless you want to. If you do assign, you get a tolerance of to within 1/4 of a second, and that's great for the True Blend media player system automation. You can do very tight segues. However, if you don't assign a time, the True Blend media player system automatically computes the optimum duration, and it's very, very good 90-some% of the time, and that's what gives you the overlapping transitions, or in the case of a cold end song, you would get an adjoined transition. Well, you can read more about that on our FAQ page or watch the True Blend videos on YouTube. Now back to the Codentity effects player. I've now assigned a track to IP bar, Instant Play Bar 1. I can browse up here with Go to Next. There's a track by Ace of Base. Let's go ahead and put it in IP2, IP bar 2. You don't have to go in any set order. I could have gone to IP bar 8, 7, 9, whatever I like. Let's go ahead and load another one. Looking for something that's somewhat compatible sound-wise. There's an Eagles track already gone. I'll put it on IP3, and now I have 3 tracks loaded. I'll direct your attention, screen left, there's something called RTS on. That's a light. RTS stands for Route to Secondary Players. Now remember, in the Codentity effects player, there are 3 decks in one frame, right? There's deck A, which is up at the top here. I'll scroll down. There's deck FX-A2 and FX-A3. They're all available for concurrent playback. Well, you don't want to have, if you're playing music, you don't want to have 3 tracks playing at the same time, except in a transition situation. So RTS allows the logic in the Codentity effects player to know that, hey, deck A is busy. Let's go ahead and route the next play event to another deck. In this case, it would be, by default, it would go to A2 if A were busy. If you started a play event and A and A2 were busy, the default transition order would go to A3. Now you can change that if you like. You can tell it to always go to A2 or go to A3. That's up to you. But the primary default presentation order using the IP bars is to play tracks from FX-A, that if A is busy, A2, if A and A2 are busy, A3. In situations where maybe you start a track in deck A, then you go to A2, then the track in deck A is ended. If you start another play event, if A were open, it would go to A. Let's demonstrate a couple of segues. I'm going to turn on automatic power fade. I will click the Apply Power Fade for IP Play Events box here. Automatic power fade is on. RTS is on. Let's go ahead and start a play event. I'm going to very quickly step through 3 tracks, and you'll hear a very smooth automatic transition. Let's start. IP bar 1. Using the mouse to reduce the audio output of deck A to 0 so we can talk. IP selector click will return me And now I'm going to double-click on the catalog ID number label for IPwire1. That will realign the screen view instantly so that I see all 9 IP bars. Only 3 are loaded at the moment. Okay, so what you heard there was I stepped through 3 playbacks very quickly, and I did have power fade on, and I think you could hear that the logic in the Codentity EFX Player did a very nice transition from deck A to A2, then A3. And then at the right after I started A3, I clicked a button called Jump to LPS. That's right here. And when I clicked that, it automatically aligned the screen view with the LPS, the last player started. Let's do it again. There it is, deck A. And that's how I didn't have to keep track in my brain. I just let the logic tell me where to go. Then I use the mouse to reduce the audio. I'll direct your attention screen right. You can see a elapsed array of deck A. The LPS is 110. Let me scroll down. I want to show you something else. You can see there's a secondary, a duplicate elapsed display duration meter. It's smaller. To the right of the automatic power fade light, the time is the same, 123, 124. LPS is detanted. That's the default presentation for this switch. If I click the A button here, the time is the same, but you see the display has changed to orange. That's to let you know you're not in default mode. If I click A2, the display is blank. A3 is blank because they're not playing anything right now. Back to LPS. Well, I think I'm going to close the FX Player, which I've been running in standalone mode. And in the time remaining, I'm going to demonstrate opening the FX Player from the TrueBlend Player console, and we'll show you how that it interacts with TrueBlend. So let's go ahead and use the red X to close it. I'll close the UDS Manager. I will hover over the Player Assets form and click. That has now opened the Codentity TrueBlend Media Player System. The default presentation goes to the List Player tab, and what you see in front of you is called the Player Console. Notice screen right, there is Player 1. But in fact, in this product, there are 2 players. There's a Player 1 and a Player 2. Now, Player 2 is hidden behind Player 1. And during a playback event, the automatic rotation is to go to Player 1, then to Player 2, then back to Player 1. So right now, Player 1 is visible. If I started a track from Player 2, Player 1 would become hidden, Player 2 would be visible, and then when I go back to Player 1, Player 2 becomes hidden, and so on and so forth. Let me show you where the tracks are held in the Player Console, the TrueBlend Media Player System. Right here on TPA 1 and 2. TPA stands for Track Path Assignment tab. I should probably rename it to ATL 1 and ATL 2. That's because in the TrueBlend Media Player System, the live dynamic action playlist is called the ATL. That means assigned track list. So on TPA 1, you hold the first 15 positions for the ATL, 1 through 15. On TPA tab 2, there are positions 16 through 30. Well, you add that together and you get an idea that there are 30 combined available positions at any given time for the ATL, the assigned track list. And those tracks are routed to the logic in the Codentity TrueBlend Player Console that provides for the automatic sequencing between Player 1 and Player 2. Right now, there are no tracks on the ATL. See the countdown light. Screen left says 0. The active track light is 0 because we haven't started a play event. So in order to play something, we need to put some tracks on the ATL, the assigned track list. There are a lot of ways to do it. You can do direct entry. You can search from one of the combo boxes. You can use filtering. You can browse. Let's go ahead and use something I think is very handy. It's using a pre-named set. I will click the Search List tab here. And now in the Set Name box, I'm going to drop down, and I'm going to search for a pre-built set called Tom's Faves 1. I'll select any track. And now if I apply a filter, up here I can do it with Match Set Name. It will show me all the tracks that are on that pre-named set, which is a playlist. Before I do that, I want to direct your attention. Screen left near the bottom, you see a TDC box. That stands for Track Display Count. Right now the number is 2345. That tells me that I have available for instant playback and loading 2,345 tracks on my hard drive. Those tracks do have designated hyperlinks that tell the software, either TrueBlend or the Codentity EFX Player, exactly where to find the physical location of the sound file. 2345. Now, when I click the Match Set Name button, it will apply a filter, and we'll see how many tracks are on this set. Click. Now look at it. The TDC, track display count, says 32. The background has changed from light to a lavender. That's your visual cue that a filter is active. So there are 32 tracks in the playlist. Now remember, the ATL only holds 30 positions at any given time. So because I don't want to start with the first track, I'm going to use the mouse. I'm going to click the Go to Next button here. Once, let's click it again. So now I'm at what's the third song in the playlist. So doing my math, I know that there are 30 tracks remaining on the playlist or the set, name set. So if I click the Process ATL, it's going to do what's called a speed load. It's going to load the first 15 filtered tracks to TPA tab 1 of the ATL. Let's go ahead and do it. Click. The product automatically jumps to the List Player tab. You can see the countdown light now says 15. Let's go ahead and look at TPA tab 1. There are the 15 tracks already loaded, starting with Redbone, Come and Get Your Love. TPA 2, still empty. Let's return to the Search List tab, and now I'm going to speed load the next 15 tracks. I'll click Process ATL 16 through 30, return to the List Player. The countdown light says 30, and let's go ahead and click TPA 2 to verify there are, in fact, 15 tracks loaded in position 16 through 30. Back to TPA 1, they're still there. So the ATL, the assigned track list, the dynamic live action playlist, is fully loaded, and that means I can start a playback event anytime I want if I remember to remove the filter. Now, there is built-in help in this product. In fact, it's provided in 2 different levels of mentoring. I'm going to go to the Configuration tab. You can see the Show Enhanced Messages. That's on by default when you first install the product. And with Show Enhanced Messages on, you're going to get longer explanations, more guidance, and you'll see examples. But I'm going to turn it off right now. I'm going to deselect it. And since I'm here, well, I'll wait. I'll wait till I start a play event. I want to show you something else, but I'll wait. Let me return to the List Player tab. We're ready to start a play event, but remember, I did mention that you cannot start a play event when the filter is on. In fact, if I click play, you get a message. Hey, before starting a play event, remove the filter. It's context sensitive. Let's go ahead and do it. And then when I click the large play button here, it will automatically start a play event in the player console. Remember, TPA position 1, Come and Get Your Love by Redbone, will automatically be routed to player 1. Let's do it now. All right, I clicked the Dip 1 button, which reduced the playback level of audio from player 1 to about 12% of maximum, and I did that so we can talk freely here. If I want to, I can change the display banner size, the font. You see down below the Play Now and Play Next data banners. I can make that larger. I'm going to do that because I think it's much easier to read. And if you're a DJ at a party and you maybe want to get back 6, 7, 8 feet from the console, it's very helpful to have larger font displays. Let's go to the Configuration tab, and I'm going to click the Display Large Play Now Next banners. And I will click List Player tab, and there you see the product is now displayed with larger data. Play Now is Come and Get Your Love by Redbone. I can see the next track is Cracklin' Rosie. Let me talk a little bit about workflows in the TrueBlend Media Player System Player console. Click TPA 1. Come and Get Your Love you see is at position 1. Well, all the odd positions 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, and so on are always routed to player 1. All the even positions, ATL position 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, etc., are always routed to player 2. So playback always goes from player 1 to player 2. Remember, when player 1 is active, player 2 is present but hidden behind player 1. When player 2 starts, player 1 is automatically hidden behind player 2, and so on and so forth. So now you understand a little bit about workflow routing in the TrueBlend Media Player console. You can change that if you want. And I think I'll take a second to demonstrate that for you very quickly. We are going to run out of time here in a few minutes. All right, you can hear Redbone playing. If I do nothing, the automation will automatically play out and start the next event at the end of the track in Player 1, which is going to be about 3 minutes and 35 seconds. But we've only played for 2 minutes and 8 seconds looking at the elapsed duration meter. I don't want to wait. I'm going to start the next track manually to show you how smooth you can do an auto mix transition even when it's manually started. Now, other products cannot duplicate this. If you do this in other products, they do a purge or an instant dump of the previously playing track. But because the automation hasn't made the Play Next button available yet, I'm going to double-click the fade in light. There you see Play Next. I'm going to click Play Next. It will start the event in Player 2. And before I do that, I'm going to restore the audio to its previous level for Deck 1 so you can hear the transition. Let's do it. All right, using the Dip 2 button to reduce the level of Player 2. So we went from Player 1 to Player 2. And now Neil Diamond is the active track. You can see the Daydream Believer by the Monkees would be next. Let's go ahead and do one more transition. I'll restore, then click. Dipping Player 1, well, you could hear that was a very nice, smooth, overlapping transition, even when I did a manual transition. Now I want to do one other thing. I'm going to try going from the audio in Deck 3. I'm going to jump ahead, and I'm going to go to a different track. Let's go ahead. Remember, since Deck 3 is an odd number, I have to go to an even-numbered position because it will play from Deck 2. Let's go to Buster Poindexter, Hot, Hot, Hot. See it here in position 6? Return to the List Player tab. If I click the Set Next APTN, Set Next Autoplay Track Number, and if I enter position 6, remember that'll be Buster Poindexter, click OK. It's ready to do that transition. Let's prove it. I'll click Restore and then click Play Next. Dipping Player 2, we jumped ahead. Real quickly, let me show you, as time is almost out, how to operate the effects player from the True Blend Player console. I'm going to open the effects player, and I'm going to search for a sound effects track, and I'm going to lay it in over the music, the Buster Poindexter. And to save time, I'll just click that. Well, bravo, that's a good one. Yeah, it'll work for what I want to do. I'm going to put it right here, and I'm going to start it from the Play Effects button. Let me reduce this or minimize this screen. I'm going to bring the level back up to full for Player 2. Then I'll return to the effects player and roll it in. You'll hear it concurrently with the audio from the True Blend system. So restoring audio here. All right, that was a quick demonstration of how to use the Codentity effects player with the True Blend Media Player system. That's the end of Part 1. In Part 2, we're going to demonstrate some real-world scenarios, and I think you're going to enjoy that. Remember, you can download a free trial copy of this product anytime at area89.com, and when you're ready to buy, you can get it from the Codentity web store, or you can find other locations by simply searching the terms Gapless DJ at Bing, Google, YouTube, or even in Amazon. Thanks for watching.